Good morning. Welcome, everyone. I'm Melinda Coates. I'm a representative for Gable Oaks Affordable Housing, and we are just more than pleased to welcome you to our new community building and just excited to tell you about the different things that we have done thus far here at Gable Oaks. I first want to introduce Roscoe Wilson. He's going to be standing here beside me today, and Roscoe has been an invaluable part of this process. He's with the R.C. Wilson Group. He has been a consultant for this particular project and a couple of our other projects, and we just couldn't do the things that we do without him, and he's been just an invaluable part of this community and needless to say will help us going forward. I wanted to tell you just a few things that we've done thus far here at Gable Oaks. I think you can see this is obviously our brand new community building, and since January of 2016 we have rebuilt Building 8, which had been previously burned in a fire, which is off to the left over here, and that now has 8 additional units that we did not have before. In addition, we built this brand new community building that will house supportive services. We have implemented a supportive services program and have a supportive services coordinator here at Gable Oaks, and we will begin to expand those supportive services to benefit all of our residents here at Gable Oaks. In addition, we have done a full renovation on every unit. We have repainted, we have done flooring. Suzanne Pucci is in the back with Stanley Steamer, and she has been instrumental in making sure that we had the supplies and everything went down with the flooring, the carpet, and the flooring as well. In addition, we have redone the cabinets and in the units that we needed that had not been upgraded in quite some time. We renovated all of the bathrooms. We have put in additional PTAC units or air conditioning units in the 3-bedroom units. We put in new ceiling fans, and just the list goes on and on. So we really modernized all of our units to make it truly a modern apartment complex over here in the Eau Claire community. And we're just excited to be just a very, very small part of the revitalization of this Eau Claire community. So before we get started, Roscoe, I think you wanted to invite up Reverend Baker for just a prayer and just to bless this opportunity.
Reverend Baker from the St. Luke Baptist Church on Farrell Road.
Let's bow our heads. Dear gracious God our Father, we thank you for the vision and the foresight of what you have allowed to be established here at Gable Oaks. God, we thank you now for watching over us all through the night and part of the day. And so now, God, we ask you, as we have gathered to dedicate this place for the living capacity of your people, make it a safe haven. Make it a learning place. Make it a place, God, where you can be met and felt. And then, God, we ask you to place protection all around these facilities so that whatever is done here will be pleasing in your sight. Thank you for those that have come together and collaborated to be used by you in order to build up our community. Now bless this endeavor greatly. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Baker. Everyone from the mayor's office to the city councilman, specifically Sam Davis, whose district this project is located in, to the Columbia Housing Authority, have been instrumental in making this truly a success. And I wanted to make sure that we recognized everybody who's in the room. So we won't, please forgive me if we do forget someone. I know everybody is important and has been instrumental. But Mayor Benjamin, he will speak in just a little while. Councilman Sam Davis, I saw him just a minute ago. There, he's in the back of the room. Great, nice to see you. Mr. Gilbert Walker, who's the Executive Director of the Columbia Housing Authority. Other council members who might be present. Mr. John Rucker with Stiefel, who's our investment banker who made this possible. Mr. Donnie Cunningham, who is our legal counsel from Baton Rouge with Jones Walker. Mr. Joe Donifro, who did an excellent job designing this building and the new building. Mr. Robert Wilson with Great Southern, who constructed this building and the brand new building, Building 8. Suzanne Pucci, who I mentioned earlier, with Stanley Steamer. Mr. Hammond, who could not be present, but his wife is present in the back. We thank you for being here. Chris Wolf with the Chamber. Is Chris here? He may not have been able to make it. And Leslie Williams with Superior Management. She and her team are doing an excellent job, and I'll talk about the staff in just a minute. And Zelda and I know I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, Waymer,
Waymer.
who's the executive director of the South Carolina After School Alliance and who helped make Wi-Fi possible for this facility. Okay, Roscoe.
Well, I want to introduce my mayor, Mayor Benjamin, and I was looking here at these accolades, pages and pages of accolades here, and I'm not going to do it, my mayor, but I got to say this. About 3 years ago, I've lived in this community for probably 50 years, right along Craven Street, probably 4 minutes from here. Grew up here. My father pastors in this area, and I've seen this area change, back, forth. And one of the things when I started on this project was I wanted to give back to the community first, and then ensure that we can help people enjoy a quality of life, a better quality of life, whoever they were, wherever they are, for the whole city. So I spoke to the mayor about it, and he said, he looked at me right now, I said in his office, and said, listen, he said, Roscoe, you need to start developing. You need to start, use your talents, use your input to start developing the community where you feel the greater need is. And that's sort of what started me off, and I want to thank you for that. And, but the mayor's vision, as you've seen here on Main Street, on Bull Street, you've seen his vision. So he's pushed a number of things through. And I'm just proud to be working with him. His leadership, and like I say, his leadership and his vision and is just immeasurable. I cannot thank you enough for what you've done for the city and how you supported us out here. And so with that, I just want to introduce my mayor. Please, Benjamin.
And I want to thank Asia's dad for introducing me. Is that fair, Oscar? Is that fair? Many of you may know or you may not know that Ross and I go way back. His father obviously was a beacon of light in this community for so many years, and he baptized me, he married me, and he left me and Roscoe together to carry on the legacy of doing great things here in this community. I did not want Roscoe to read this because, quite frankly, I wrote it. So I know exactly what it says. It's all really, really cool stuff. So we're not going to belabor the program by reading prepared comments. I will say this, and I will be brief because I know we have a number of speakers who I also hope will be brief too this morning. This is an exciting day. This is a perfect example of what happens when you bring people together around a vision. I will tell you that this building is beautiful. You'll see a couple of the units here. They are beautiful. They are representative of the high quality housing that every citizen of this community deserves. And in some of the conversations that we had very early on, and I knew, having spent time with the coach and the Banyan Foundation and Roscoe and seeing the quality of the work that we were talking about, I knew it would be high quality. But as you might surmise, bringing new life and high quality affordable housing to any community is never an easy prospect. It requires a lot of partnerships. It requires a lot of people working together. And you look across this room and you see the public sector and the private sector. You see wonderful nonprofits and educational institutions. You see groups that are focused on making sure children have great, high quality opportunities to live up to their God-given potential. You see the housing authority and just folks who just have an incredible skill set at just dramatically improving the quality of people's lives wherever they go. They all came together to make Gable Oaks the high quality community that the people here deserve, that Eau Claire and North Columbia deserves, and I believe an example of what we should hope to see if Columbia is going to be what we all hope it to be, the most talented, educated, entrepreneurial city in America, a place where every child regardless of zip code, every citizen has a chance to live up to the God-given potential. Regardless of where you live, regardless of who you are and whose you are, you have a chance to do great things. That starts with high-quality housing and supportive services that allow us to do all the great things that we know God has in store for us. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited the leadership that all of you in this room has shown in making it happen. Roscoe, Melinda, Rob, all of you, Stiefel, executing the financing on making something like this happen. I just want to say we need to see a whole lot more of it, And I thank the media, of course, for being here and covering some of the really good things that are happening out here in North Columbia. One final thank you before I step away is my friend and colleague Sam Davis. Sam, when you talk about North Columbia, you talk about 29203, we talk about North Main Street and this community, Sam will only accept high quality. And he's a tough customer. I'll tell you that. He'll press you, and he'll push you and push you and push you. And I believe that what we're seeing here is an example of what happens when you have that type of stern leadership that has a vision for just wanting the very best for the people that he represents. So if it's okay, should I go ahead and introduce Sam, or do you want to go ahead and do it? I'm not going to take up your first name. You go ahead. You have your business.
Mr. Walker was there.
Okay. Well, you go ahead.
But I defer to you.
I'm gonna yield to Roscoe to control the program again. But thank y'all for being here. This is a really good day. This is a good day, and I believe again it's a harbinger of great things to come. It's going to require a lot more partnership, a lot more creative thinking, a lot more investment from the city, from the state, from the federal government, from all of our different partners here in this room to continue to get more wins like this, and having partners like this at the table, I think we'll make it happen. God bless you.
Thank you, Mayor Benjamin. Now I want to bring up Gilbert Walker. And while he's coming up, I wanted to recognize J.T. McLaughlin from the Urban League. I know I beat his ear off about programming and helping people. Gilbert Walker, we go back a little ways too, largely through family. But again, I say, when you look at vision, look at where you want things, he looks far beyond the hedges. I mean, way beyond the hedges. He just sits in his office and he goes, yeah, I think I can do that. I can do that. I mean, it's all low key. And prayers to Howard. Howard Thomas, he's in the hospital today, but we're gonna say a prayer for him. But Gilbert has been one that's calm. We go in, we sit down, he'll tell us, yes, I can do that. No, I can't, we won't do that. Definitely no, we won't do that. Or yes, we will do that. So, no, and we appreciate that because you know where you are, you know where you stand. I think that we need more of that around here where you know exactly where people are. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I present Gilbert Walker, Executive Director of the Columbia Housing Authority.
First, let me thank Roscoe and to thank the mayor along with Sam Davis on City Council and all the things that we are attempting to do to try to make more affordable housing available for our citizens in this community. Some of you may not be aware, but the Columbia Housing Authority is the third oldest housing authority in the country. And we have been very active in trying to make sure that we put a wide variety of housing, not only just public housing, but affordable housing, housing that we think that will be something that will help the community and help the citizens that we try to serve. A lot of you may not know too. We had an application opening about a month ago, and we had 20,000 people to apply in one day. 20,000 to apply in one day for affordable housing. And people do not realize when you live in a house and you're comfortable, but you do not realize the things that people who is scuffling every day, trying to make things better for them families and make better for their children, what they go through. And that's what we're all about. And I told Roscoe, I said, one thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that if whatever we do, that we do it for the people, and we do it for families, and we do it for children. My pet peeve is two areas that we deal with the Colonial Housing Authority. I believe in people who have worked all their lives and for whatever reason may not have been able to make it the way that they want to make it. But now I think that they should live comfortably the rest of their lives. And I also believe in the young people. I think that young people need to have the advantage in all the things that we're trying to do to make sure that they get a head start and that they go over and beyond. And that's what we're trying to do at the Columbia Housing Authority. We put a lot of emphasis on it, and we're going to put a lot of money into it. We want to do it as much as we can do it with partnerships. We can't do it by ourselves. We have to bring in private people along with public people, along with the city, and get support. And when we get support, we think that we can at least cut into a dent of some of those things that go on. So I appreciate the things that the Banyan Group has done. When they first came to me, I didn't know anything about them. And they called, and be honest with you, when people call, I get a lot of calls. I wanted to make sure that we were dealing with people who would do what it was that they said they were going to do, and to bring affordable housing to make sure that those things happen. And what you see here at Gable Oaks, and what you will see in other areas of the city that we're trying to do, you will see the improvements and all the things that go along. So thank you very much. Thank you, Roscoe, for allowing me to say just a few words about the authority and about the things that I did think so dearly of. Thank you again so much.
All right, well, you saw how calm he was. That's generally in public. But, no, I wanted to bring Mr. Davis up, and I also wanted to recognize our counsel, Xavier Starks. He keeps us out of jail. And
That's a tough job.
that's a tough job to do, yeah. But, you know, it's just amazing the amount of input and feedback you get from people, positive and negative, and I like that. You know, some people don't like this, they don't like that, but I think it's good for growth, you know. And in introducing Sam and I go back probably before most of y'all were born, and we're college classmates. He's a few years ahead of me, but few years. I want to make that distinction. But one of the things that Sam was very protective of this community. I don't tell y'all that. He's very protective of this community, Belmont and Gable Oaks, and he worked very hard to merge, to marry that group, which sometimes is not that easy. It's not that easy at all. But he was very, very, very adamant about what his vision was for this area. So we've had some talks. We've had some talks, and I think that it was productive. I mean, he talked about the Wi-Fi. I mean, I got to take this time to tell y'all this. When you go into a public school, all of y'all been in the public school. When you go into public schools, they have every form of technology that a man can ever invent. Smart pencils, smart boards, smart desks, everything's smart, you know? And I was looking at that, and I looked and I said, well, I came out here and I'm saying, where do the kids do their homework? So a kid's not gonna pick a book up, he's gonna pick up his pad, he's gonna pick up his tablet. But he can't because he does not have Wi-Fi. So he goes into McDonald's, they run him out. He buys a cup of soda, he stays a minute, you got to go. So I thought it was just, look how far away from downtown, and this community was disconnected. So you see how from Wi-Fi downtown, we're moving it out. And I think that's a part of Mr. Davis's vision. Zelda Wayman was here. She helped me. She connected me with South Carolina Education Television. We looked at the area codes, and we wrote and request, and we got Wi-Fi out here at Gable Oaks, which I think is wonderful. you get a chance to look in to see the computers. A kid can come in. All of our kids in here from Richland 1 district or school district, they store all their information. I'm not tech savvy at all, so I'm just trying to give you a plain. They store all their information down in the cloud, so a kid can come in, have a flash drive or whatever, get his information, move from there. We need to connect these young people to education and the world. So with that, I want to bring Sam Davis up, and then Tamara Burke and Lawrence here. They started out early, before this building was even here. They were working with kids in the neighborhood. And I know those kids gave you accolades. And she was in there every day, and those kids were everywhere. I mean, they were ages from, 7 to 14 maybe? And she would spend at least 3-4 hours in there with them.
2 to 18.
Well, to me, it seemed like every time I came in, you were there. So 2 hours. But it was wonderful because the kids need interaction. They needed interaction, and it helps us motivate their minds for education. So I want to thank you all for the time you spent. We're going to continue that relationship. So I want to bring Sam Davis up. Mr. Davis, would you come up, please? No, we don't have a choice, not at all. Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Morning, everybody. Don't want to be repetitious, but let me say that this has been I think we're all involved, maybe not myself, a labor of love in terms of the goal. The goal for not just this area, but this neighborhood in particular. I think the goals have been met. There are some things that will be looked at in terms of the ongoing relationship. But I think this building, as an example, started a little while back when I think Tamara, myself, and Mr. Hammond met over at Alcorn Middle School to put together a link between this residential community and the school, after school, weekends, and that sort of thing. And so everything has evolved. Columbia College has been intricately involved, especially this past summer. They're going to be doing some other things as we move along. But the most important thing is that Gable Oaks, I have some attachments. My wife lived in Gable Oaks years ago. So there was a purpose in the beginning. The one thing that's unique about the final product is that over the years, the push-pull residential neighborhood, I was very adamant that the residential community should be a part of the neighborhood. This is the only situation in this city where the people in the apartment community are a part of the neighborhood association. So that is very important. What goes on in the neighborhood impacts the residential community, and what goes on in the residential community impacts the neighborhood. So it's one, and I don't think we'll reach the goals that we intend to reach if we don't make that happen. Mr. Hammond also has played a major role in this because he also served as a link between the development group and the neighborhood, and making sure that everybody was on the same page and that sort of thing. That's very important. So this is important because it's an investment. So new investment impacts property values, and that's very important. So moving forward, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that all of the commitments we made and the promises we made are kept. And I think the goal here has been reached. The kids did not have a place to play. Okay, and I've met with past management. We've had to have them fly down to let's have a conversation. So now we have the kinds of amenities, the commitments, and the management commitment that the neighborhood and the residential community has always tried to have in place. It's very important. So let's have a good time with them, and we'll continue to be involved. And for most of you who don't know, that this is the neighborhood I chose to live in. Thank you.
Oh, that's my councilman too. I wanted to add to that is that Mr. Davis also, we talked about this area, the street safety for our kids. So we've talked about speed bumps on Randall. We've talked about safety lights, you know, because I think once people see that, it brings more credibility to the community that the city cares. And I know the city cares, but when you see these things, the speed bumps, the blinking lights so kids can get on and off buses safely, I think it sends a message there. It sends a message everywhere. The other thing is our people, young men and women in blue, or is that black? Blue. The ones with the guns, Officer White, Davidson, I don't know the others, but they've been very, very cooperative in working with us for public safety. We've had numerous meetings here, meetings over at North Point, which we also acquired, just to talk about the safety of the community, and they've been very responsive, and we're going to continue that relationship. I want to thank you all for having me for Coffee with a Cop. I came out that morning, Coffee with a Cop, enjoyed that. Just talking about issues, how you move through the community, how you understand what an officer's mentality is, and citizens' mentality. But it requires dialogue. And one thing my daddy taught me, you got to have dialogue, you know. So I want to continue that on. I want to continue that. So with that, I think I'm going to bring back up here the lovely Miss Melinda Coates.
Thank you. Thank you, Roscoe, and thank you all for coming. I wanted to make sure that I introduced the staff. The staff is what makes this place possible and makes the wheels go round. Ms. Charlotte Brown over here, who is our property manager, has done an exceptional job. She's just amazing. She's been working very hard with the Housing Authority and to make sure that we reach our goals that we have set of 95% by the end of the year. So we thank you. Ms. Mica Smith-Nesbitt, she is our Supportive Services Coordinator. I'm sure I have your title incorrect, but I met with her yesterday, and I have never met someone with so much passion to just come out and really make sure that all of the programs are here and available for all of our residents, and not just the children, but for the adults as well. You can see the computer lab behind you. She's already been in contact with people to start a GED program here. We've had so much interest. We did do a resident survey a couple of months back just to really understand what their needs are, because what we think their needs are may not be exactly what's needed. And so it was enlightening to see how many people were interested in health and nutrition, financial literacy, a GED program. So we were excited to see all of the programs that we could bring here, again, that don't just benefit the kids, but benefit the residents or the adults as well. Through an anonymous donor, Ms. Suzanne Pucci helped us secure a donation that will revitalize the playground for the kids. And like Councilman Davis said, we need places for our children to play, and this will be an excellent room for them to do activities in, but we also want to make sure that they have outside activity that goes back to that health and nutrition. Cynthia Taylor, she is right over here. She is our assistant manager and is doing a fantastic job. Mr. Craig Franklin, who is, I don't believe in here, but he is our maintenance supervisor and he works very hard to keep the grounds up and just to make sure that all the residents are happy. Granted, with any renovation, you do have hiccups, and we're trying to make sure that we stay ahead of those, and he's doing an exceptional job. And Larry Harden, who is our groundskeeper as well, our maintenance technician. Again, we are very proud of this initiative and feel like we're truly making a difference for people, and that's our overall goal and the mission of our organization. So we thank you all for coming. I know Roscoe had a few closing remarks, and I will turn it back over to him.
One thing I want to talk about, I wanted to mention Mr. Hammond again, because Mr. Hammond is president of the Homeowners Association, and he designates so many days a week to volunteer here of his own accord. He comes in and says whatever he needs to do, he comes in and does it. I want to thank his wife for allowing him, because I know that's time, because he's on the road a lot. And generally he tells us, well, I'm on the road, I can't be here like today. He's been on the road, I can't be here. His wife is here. Thank you for coming, Ms. Hammond. But the passion that he has, I mean, no matter how these kids are acting, he's right there with them and he talks to them. So I can't say enough about that. That when you have people that volunteer, the people that come in with a passion, and that moves communities forward. I think that I've lived a lot of places, but I've always seen where you have a village, and we use the village very loosely, but it's truly a village where you can heal yourself right where you live instead of going somewhere or institution downtown or someplace else where you can't get help. Well, you get help, but it's not as dignified as it is right here. So if a mother wants to get information about taking better care of her child, she can get it in there. You know, if she needs information on substance abuse, spousal abuse, anything like that, they can get it in there. And that's just been that's been a vision of mine for years, to be able to get with Banyan, talk with the mayor, and to be able to bring that to fruition. I'm elated. I am elated. So I want to thank you all for coming out and enjoy yourselves. There's some units that are open, and you can go in and see some units right across here. I invite you to go into the computer room and see this. I think this is a wonderful facility. It's a focal point of this community. So we want to make sure that we, obviously we're going to take care of it. But I want to make sure that you understand what we're trying to do to the community and keep this thing going, all right? Well, thank y'all so very much.